Well, Mathews has done it, and in doing so, they resolved one of my not so minor frustrations that I've had with previous model Mathews bows. This is the Mathews Lift X 33, which is Mathews' flagship offering for 2025. And at first glance, it's remarkably similar to last year's model Lift.
Identical.
In fact, it's got the same riser design and riser cutouts, same cam, weight, length, brace height.
Had the same body length, height, width, weight, wheelbase, and wheel track.
It's essentially the same great shooting bow as last year's model, with one critical exception that may be important to some people and not so much to others. For me, I think it's a game changer. Some of you may have seen the video that I did last year when Mathews shipped me the Lift 29.5. I received that bow a couple days before Thanksgiving. I brought it out here to the lease in Blanco along with all of my tools. I set the bow up here, made a makeshift tuning rack, shot the bow through paper, and had a horrible paper tear. I worked with the bow, tried to move the rest, make some adjustments, never could get it tuned. So I ended up having to wait till the day after Thanksgiving, and I took it up to the archery shop in Stonewall, Los Cazadores, and they were able to change out the top hats, get it shooting bullet holes, and I was able to hunt with that bow for the rest of the 23 season and on into 24. Those that have seen some of my previous videos know that I prefer a longer axle to axle bow, and so I ended up selling that Lift 29.5 to my friend Kevin and ordered the Lift 33. And so I received that in June of last year, just ahead of our Total Archery Challenge event, and kind of the same thing. I set it up there at the house, added all the components to it, shot it through paper, and again, I had a large paper tear. I don't have a bow press, and so I ended up going to the archery shop there in Hallettsville, Brush to Bay Outfitters, and Tim was able to change out the top hats for me, again, get it shooting bullet holes. But the frustration was that I was unable to make the tuning adjustments myself without the use of a bow press. And so the top hat system was a little bit frustrating to me. Honestly, it was a little bit intimidating to me, having to remove the axle and the cam from the bows. And that made it nearly impossible for me to do my own tuning of the bow without going to an archery shop. So what Mathews has done with the Lift X 33, in fact, all of their Lift X models, is they've incorporated limb shift technology is what they're calling it. So, and it allows you to cam lean tune your bows without the use of a bow press. And what they've done is they fixed the cam to one of the limbs, and then the other limb you make an adjustment. So on either end of the axles, there is a cap that you remove with an Allen wrench, and then that opens up a set screw, and using that Allen wrench you can shift that limb in and out to micro tune your bow. And for me and anybody that likes to set up and tune their own bows, that is game-changing technology. So similar to last year, I received the new Lift X a couple days before Thanksgiving. I just grabbed the whole box, all of my tools, brought it here to the lease, did a quick setup here, shot through paper, had a significant paper tear, but unlike last year, I was able to use the limb shift tuning system, get it dialed in, shooting bullet holes without ever having to leave the lease. And so I've been hunting with this for the last couple of weeks, haven't shot anything with it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far. So let's real quickly talk about a couple of real world scenarios where the limb shift technology and being able to micro tune your bow can come in handy aside from the initial setup. I mentioned previously that I'll change my arrow setup depending on what the situation is. So for during the summer when I want to shoot long range or when I'm shooting the Total Archery Challenge, I'll typically run, say, the Easton 6.5 millimeter shafts, which are around 430 grains, and with a 100 grain tip, a little bit lighter setup so that I can shoot better at distance. And then during elk hunting, for example, I may want to go with a little bit heavier setup for the kinetic energy, and typically I'll run like a 4 millimeter shaft with a weighted insert and 125 grain head on it. So that can change the actual tune of the bow. So being able to use the limb shift to make tuning changes as you change your setup is extremely convenient and makes it easier to change between. So similarly, in the past, I've changed out my switch weight modules, and without a press, simply change out the modules. You can change the let-off percent, you can change the draw weight of the bow, just simply removing a couple of screws, screwing a new module in, and you could go conceivably from a 50-pound draw weight to an 80-pound draw weight. But again, that's going to change the setup of your bow and may require additional tuning. So having the limb shift technology to be able to quickly make those adjustments is going to come in really handy. Now, for anybody that doesn't tune their own bow and uses an archery shop, or for somebody that tunes their bow and doesn't make a whole lot of changes and doesn't need to retune it, then that may not be a critical factor for you, in which case it's still a great shooting bow just like last year's model Lift. Now Mathews did incorporate a few other changes into the Lift X over the Lift, namely in the redesign of their limb system. They have what they're calling the Arc 7 limbs, and that was partly out of necessity. Last year, Mathews acknowledged that they had an inordinate number of issues with cracked limbs, or they called it feathering, on some of the Lift bows. I had quite a few comments on both the videos that I did last year and also on the website at texasbowhunter.com with people complaining about limb issues. Personally, I never had any on either the Lift 29.5 or the 33, but I do believe it was an issue. So Mathews reinforced, redesigned the limb system with the Arc 7 limbs. Now time will tell whether that will make a difference. Now another upgrade that Mathews is offering is to their grip system. A lot of people have complained for years about the Mathews Engage grip. Some people like them, some people don't. We shot TAC last year, Total Archery Challenge, in Sunlight Mountain, Colorado, and I think there were 3 people with Mathews bows, and they switched out the grip to the UltraView B-Reel grip. I went with a Total Peep Tech grip and changed out from the Engage grip, and I really like this grip. But Mathews this year is offering some other grip options with different grip angles. It's what they're calling their Bond grip system. Comes stock with essentially the same as the old Engage grip, but there are 2 different grip offerings that change the grip angle and the grip a little bit. I won't be purchasing those. I'm going to switch over this Tech grip and replace the Bond grip that came with the bow. So the sun is changing positions and I'm starting to get some harsh shadows, so that's my cue. It's probably time to wrap this video up. I just wanted to give you my initial impressions on the Lift X, and specifically with the limb shift technology, and tell you why I think that's a critical improvement, at least for me. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. Is that enough of an improvement for you? Would you change out if you already had the Lift to the Lift X? Is it worth that change? Do you prefer to have somebody else set up your bow, set it and forget it? Or maybe you have a bow press and like working with the top hats. I'd love to hear your comments in the comments section below. Otherwise, thank you for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon on another video.